Now, they said they were going to go out into where they thought the shipping lane would be. That to give them a chance to get picked up in the shipping lane.
Oh.
Now, some said they heard firing after. I heard no firing, but then I was down on water level.
Oh.
Well, we couldn't get in the boat, so we hung around the boats all that night, all the next day, and the next morning a boat went past and picked up the remaining Japanese. They broke the oars, or some of the oars, and threw them in the water, and then we got onto that boat, and some of the others got off the other boats to stop from sinking point. And Vic Bunkin told the boatload that was going they were stupid, well, in other words, that it wasn't advisable.
Was that Varley's group that you're referring to? Yes.
Yeah. He told them that it wasn't advisable.
Oh.
And he said, Amboy is there. Amboy, I'd never heard of it, but still he knew where Amboy was.
And what's that? I don't know that.
Amboy is a port off China.
Yeah.
All the time. And anyhow, he says, we'll head that way the best way we can. So there was ground seats there they made. I'd never been on a lifeboat before that.
Oh.
And they made bits of sails and things, and what oars was around, and we were gradually making our way that way. And this boat came past, little Corvette thing, bullshit, whatever.
I'll just hold you there if I may, because we've got to change the tape. Right, Bert, we've actually changed the tape now, and you just got to the point where you mentioned that there was a Japanese corvette approaching your lifeboat or lifeboats. Was there more than one lifeboat?
Yeah, there was three.
Mm.
There's three lifeboats, and a Jap corvette was approaching it. They threw one of those wide rope ladder things over the side. They didn't stop. They just cruised past, and if we didn't grab onto it, it would have been our bad luck. But as it was, everybody grabbed it. And we had to climb up this rope over the side. And there's one chap, God knows how thirsty he was, although we had a sip of water. It had rained, and a bit of water got on the ground sheet, and we'd licked the ground sheet and given us some water. And as soon as he got up on top, yelled at the top of his voice how he could go a beer, and sort of lighten the load a bit. Well, they sat us on the front of this Corvette, and there was about 82 of us or something, and they wouldn't give us a drink. Nowhere in the world would they give us a drink, wouldn't give us anything to eat. But when it was getting dark, we saw them get the cannons and start on the boats and start moving them around. Then we looked, and there was a light on the sea, and they sailed past it, and here was the sea on fire. Nothing else except a fire. There must have been a boat down below, was leaking oil that was on fire. And there's this fire just riding the waves. It's just unbelievable. Well, then they kept going, and that night we pulled in at Amoy, and there was another boat there. It was a whaling boat. It's what they call the mothership of the whaling boat. They put us on that, and there was other prisoners there from off another boat that was in the convoy that had sunk immediately, and a lot of them were burnt. Some of them died, so they buried them there. They put them on this whale carrier with us. Well, they were on the whale carrier when we got there. And they headed for Japan in this empty big whaling boat, whereas we had no room practically to move at all on the Rakuyo Maru that this boat we had about thinking 5 metres per person that we could have had to wander around on. And we had one bloke by the name of Jeff McAuliffe and myself. We're laying naked on the bare floor of the steel floor of the whale carrier, whale factory ship it was, and we're using this lifebelt, one lifebelt for a head pillow. Jeff and I were sharing it. I said to Jeff, I says, if we get hit again, I said, I've got the lifebelt. He said, you're not getting more than half. Anyhow, we heard some bad noises, but the sea was very rough, and I believe it was the anchor swinging out of it and hitting the end, and being an empty boat made the noise. But Vic Duncan said there'd been a scare, and I said, how are we going to get off? He said, you won't. He said, because every time there's a scare, he says, they just shut those doors. He said, I've been up there. He says, we can't get out. Anyhow, then we landed in Japan, see if we get the name of it.
Just before you get to that point, you said that you were naked. You had no clothing at all? Did the Japs give you any clothing?
Not after picked us up, no.
No?
No.
So what did you...
all I had was a jockstrap.
Yes.
And when I was going, I found a bit of it, before I left Singapore, I found a bit of a jacket that had 2 pockets on it.
Yes.
Now, all it was a bit over the top, no
Yeah.
jacket, just with pockets and
Yeah.
a few threads.
Mm.
So I put my family Bible that the family had given me in my pocket,
Yes.
and I tied it with a bit of string.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had,
Really?
and nothing else.
No.
No,
No footwear?
no footwear.
No hat?
Footwear,
No
I
hat?
hadn't had no hat.
Mm.
Hadn't had any footwear for a while.
Yeah. No water bottle?
No water bottle.
Mm.
No. And we just lay there. Like when we got to Japan.
Now, could it have been Moji that you arrived at? Moji?
Moji,
Yeah.
Moji, yeah,
Mm.
that's the place.
Mm-hmm.
And anyhow, they and the good thing about it, they put us all through a hot bath when we got there.
Yeah.
And I've still got the Bible to this day,
Yes.
and every word in it is still legible as
Yes.
it was when the family gave it to me. They haven't written in it with indelible pencil,
Yeah.
and indelible hasn't even ran.
Really? Oh. Maybe at the end, would you be able to show it to me so that I could get an image of it on the camera?
It's in there, so I get it. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that Bible that Ollie
Where
gave.
about?
Ooh, I don't know which drawer it's in now. I think it's in the bottom drawer, I think.
In that ring.
In there.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom drawer or the top drawer. It wouldn't be in the and anyhow, they gave us this bar, and then they gave us a little blanket. We used to call them Indian blankets, the little small blankets. And there was a stable. It was a cobblestone stable, but it hadn't had any animals in it. It was perfectly clean. There was nothing there, but it was a stable.
Mm.
So we sat there with no clothes on except a blanket halfway their bar, and they let me keep my Bible. And anyhow, we sat there until nightfall, nothing to eat. We had drink, nothing to eat. And that night, they put us into a sort of what we'd call a drill hall, and they gave us a feed of boiled corn stuff, you know, like a sort of corn. It wasn't right. Well, then they put us on a ferry, still no clothes, and they put us on a ferry and took us across it to the other side of the bay
Yes.
and put us on a train.
Yes.
Well, they put us on a train to go to Sakata, but they stopped at main city, what the hell?
Yokohama?
Yokohama. Stopped at Yokohama and marched us through Yokohama. Well, we'd come from the jungle, from the tropics, and it started to sleet when we were walking through Yokohama. So, being cold, we're marching through there, and all these people looking out windows, looking at us.
Yes.
And they're we pulled our blankets up around our shoulders, from the hips down. We're naked. We still kept marching.
Yes.
through Yokohama.
So this was sort of late 1944, was it?
Yeah. It was it was just before my 22nd birthday, and I turned 22 in Japan. 90 September, wasn't it? We got September.
Yeah.
Near the end of September.
Yes.
The middle of September. Then they took us around to a cow yard. I had a cow stall with a couple of yokes, shell thing in the corner. And anyhow, it was knee deep in muck, and there was some clothes in the corner. And they,
I can see it, Bert.
yeah, I'll have a look in a minute. They give us a Aussie greatcoat,
Yes.
or a pommy one. It was a greatcoat, but Aussie or pommy one. And they gave us a Japanese jacket and a Japanese pair of pants. And a pair of white socks.
Yes.
No shoes.
No shoes. Yeah.
A pair of white socks.
Yeah.
So we put them on, not the socks, with the other clothes. So then they marched us back to the train, and they took us on to Sakata.
And what was the train like? What?
Oh, beautiful train.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Was it warm?
Yeah, warm, and blanket velvet lined, or felt lined stuff, you know.
And did you have was Rowley Richards with
He
you?
was there,
Were you with the same group as
Yeah,
he?
the same group. Yeah.
So about what date did you arrive in Sakata?
I wouldn't be too sure. I would say dates got away from us a bit.
Yes.
I'll say, right, we got sank on the 12th, 16.
Would it be a month later, or?
No. We'd arrived there within 24 hours of arriving in Japan. Eh? Well, 24 hours after arriving in Japan, we'd have arrived in Sakata.
Yes. Yeah.
So whatever time it took us from the time the boat was sunk for us to go to Amoy and then from Amoy to Japan, so could have been about in the mid-20s, I think, 29th or 25th, 29th.
So what was the accommodation for you like in Sakata?
What was it?
The accommodation.
The accommodation itself wasn't bad. It was it had been a warehouse or something, or some sort of building, and they'd made it a platform that shows it had 2 stories there. It was a tall building, 2 stories. There was plenty of room, and we all had enough room to lie down, lie down.